At the end of Parashat Vayikra, we see the statement, "It shall be because he has sinned and incurred guilt, that he shall restore that which he took violently away." But in this week's Parsha, it begins with, "And this is the law of the burnt offering." The connection between the two sections teaches us that if you desire to bring an offering, do not steal from anyone. For I, Shem, love justice. I hate robbery with burnt offerings. And this is brought down in Yeshayahu 61:8. When will I accept the burnt offerings which you bring? When you have cleaned your hands of robbery. And it's as Avimelech states, who will ascend unto the mountain of God? And who shall stand in his holy place? He that has clean hands and a pure heart. Now I want to get into robbery a little more. While many of us may think that robbery pertains to holding up a bank or outright stealing, there are many forms of robbery. That includes gezel and that of interpersonal relationships. And we see here that it says, if a soul sins and commits a trespass against HaShem and denies unto his neighbor a charge or deposit or a thing taken away by violence, or has wronged his neighbor, because he has sinned and incurred guilt, he shall restore that which he took. And he shall bring the guilt offering unto HaShem, a ram without blemish. And the verses enumerate several possible ways of damaging the property of one's neighbor, and allude to what extent the concept of stealing pertains. Even finding a lost object and swearing that he didn't find it obligates the person to bring a sacrifice. The Talmud asks, what is called robbery? And Rabbi Histad answers, someone who says, go and return, this is robbery. And this is brought down in Baba Metzia 111a. But robbery also means the pushing off of a person to whom you owe money to. By telling him to come back later, it is considered stealing because it cost him his time. And in fact, many of the Rabbanim say that if you enter a store and you have no intention of buying, do not hold up the salesperson's time, as he could be using this time to actually make a sale. But there's another category in which we really have to be careful, and that's with our children. There's a story brought down about a woman who wasn't particularly frum, but she did have a mitzvah that she always loved to keep, and that was lighting her Shabbos candles and then going off to shul to daven. And every Friday was the same. And she had a number of small children which she would leave behind in order to do this. Now I gotta tell you, as a mom, you know that there are many times that you are torn between your children, your family, and doing a mitzvah. But one should act with caution. And there's a famous story about Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, who was supposed to lead the prayer of Kol Nidre on Yom Kippur. Everyone in the shul was waiting, and he did not arrive for about an hour. The reason for his delay was a crying infant that he happened to hear on the way to shul. Now, ironically, this mother also had gone to the shul to pray and left her child alone. And Rabbi Yisrael Salanter understood that comforting this frightened child took precedence over leading the congregation in Kol Nidre service. Now, many of us are entering into the time of Pesach, and as many women know, this is a time where we can go crazy with the spring cleaning. But I want to give you a word of advice to remember that the dust is not chametz, and our children are not the Pesach sacrifices. Please be sure to remember that your children are a priority, just the way you are a priority to HaShem. You can follow this series, A Woman's Worth by Devorah Esther, on YouTube at Gimel Dalet 777. Click subscribe to be notified. If you've enjoyed this video or know someone who would, please share it. Sikul mitzvot.